Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's pre-match press conference ahead of Game 1 against Charlotte of the 2025 Audi MLS Cup playoffs. Round 1, best of 3 series. We have head coach Pascal Jansen. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We're starting with Christian.
Coach, I come back from my answer to the question that I had last week about the importance of home field. Obviously, things have shaken out. Going on the road, it's a challenging place where you guys have had struggles in the past. What's your message been in the last couple days or so to the guys as they prepare for this match?
That the moment is there, what we've been working for all season. We've become way more consistent throughout the season. Apart from the last 2 games of the regular season, I'm quite pleased with the progression that we've made. Looking at Charlotte in specific, that's interesting because our away game there, I thought and I saw in the last couple of days when I was watching the games again, we were quite dominant out there. Had a couple of good chances. They scored an early goal, exposed us on our right side just before the goal was conceded. And then we were back in control again, but without creating so many big chances in order to get back into that game. And we took one at the end. But overall, 2 games, I think we showed good quality in both games. Game 1 without scoring the goals that we should have. And in game 2, we had 2 penalties, obviously, to go ahead. But we also created lots more moments to create more difference between us.
When it comes to the driving point, but from the offense, Alonso and Hannes have really been the driving forces for that. Obviously, they haven't put up a ton of goals the last couple games going into the postseason. Is there a concern about that, or is this more of a moment for you where you look at the rest of the squad and go, "All right, guys, it's your time to shine a little bit"?
No, that's been the case throughout the whole season. Obviously, in the beginning of the season, the first part, we were relying a lot on Alonso. Because we were still developing our other guys in order to get them in better positions and in order to score more goals. But I've seen this item throughout the season a little bit more, and maybe I mentioned it too much myself in the beginning of the season, but to have your top goal scorer on 17, and I think Hannes is on 12 or something, that's not too bad, but you always will have 1 or 2 top targets who make your goals in every team. Our team is no different. What we are looking for within the rest of the team is that can we score more from set pieces? Can our other wingers have more impact? Ojeda is a good example, I think, because he's having more impact throughout the season. He got himself on the scoreboard as either assist or scoring the goal, but not often enough yet. So you see the progress has to be made there.
Roberto?
So a simple question, what changes for you from now that the playoffs start?
What changes for me?
Well, for you, for the team, if anything.
Well, it's the period, like I said to your colleague just now, Christian, it's the period that everybody has been working so hard to get to. Obviously, finishing 5th with 56 points is an okay achievement itself, but now the moment is there because the best of 3 determines who goes through the semis, and that's a big difference compared to the league, obviously, because it's a competition of its own, and you have to make sure that you get on the right side in order to progress every time.
The team's lost 3 out of its last 4. Is that concerning in any way to you?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. Back to the room, Christian.
Hi, Coach. I went back and listened to your first press conference all the way back in February.
And
one of the phrases that jumped out very quickly was bulletproof mindset.
right, yeah.
I'm curious, how does that apply itself to a playoff scenario, 3 games, etc.?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that came back in our review as well. The bulletproof mindset was something I introduced at the beginning of the season, and throughout the season, you could see that we were able to handle ourselves better and better, became more consistent every time we progressed throughout the season. And obviously playing against the top seeded teams in the league has also brought us a lot of respect. So I think throughout the season, we've become more bulletproof, and that is something that we need to realize also now that we're in the final stage of the season in order to be successful during the playoffs. So I think we've done an okay job to establish that, but now we have to apply it during the playoffs.
For sure.
Obviously Matt's a very humble guy. Matt Freese is always humble.
Mm-hmm.
To get him to talk about himself too much, but him being named the finalist for goaltender of the year, just what have you seen out of Matt's play and his progression over the course of the season? And how crucial, obviously goaltending is a crucial point, but how crucial is he in the success of this club in the postseason?
Yeah, he's been a massive piece for us in our team. I think if you talk about the consistency that we have established throughout the season within the team, you also have to mention guys like Matt Freese, because he's a big part of that that factor, us being more consistent. He got himself into the national team, became the number one. That also is something that is very good for your self-confidence. But Matt, as a person and as a player, how I've got to know him is he just when you think of a growth mindset and trying to develop yourself as an athlete, one of the guys I would mention first is Matt Freese. So that goes hand in hand, if you ask me.
And I'm kind of curious as well. Obviously, the postseason is where your head's at, but kind of looking back at where things started for you, your first year in MLS, new club. Where do you think the expectations have gone? As for yourself as a coach, when you started, what were your expectations, and do you feel like you met them as a coach, you exceeded them, or kind of where do you see things having played out?
Well, I'm the type of person and type of coaches. I'm never satisfied. So that is the drive that I have inside of myself as well, and that's the drive I bring to the building every day, and that's the drive I brought into the dressing room as well. You can never be satisfied. So if you look at the points or the goals conceded or the goals scored or however the season went, when I start to look back and review this season, I will most definitely find areas or things to improve for the next season. But that's how I am as a person. So basically, I'm never satisfied. So it will never be good enough.
Wilfred Zaha got a red card at the end of the last game, and he's not going to be there for the first match. How does that affect you in any way? The fact that he's not there?
It doesn't affect me. It affects their team. I think Zaha has proven to be a good player for Charlotte. So they will have to try something else because he's been playing a lot and has been very important for their results and the way they play. So it's more their problem than our problem. We just have to prepare ourselves for a different scenario because somebody else is going to play, and that is something that we've done throughout the season many times when somebody is suspended, and no different to preparing ourselves for this game.
And health-wise, how's the team?
Looking good, looking good. We had some issues at the beginning of the week with a couple of guys who had some flu problems and came out the game from Seattle with some complaints. But today everybody was on pitch apart from Hannes Wolf. So we'll have to see how he will manage himself throughout the next couple of days. But that's something that we have to wait and see.
Is that because of the flu?
No, for Hannes, you mean?
Yeah.
No, that's not the flu. No.
What is Hannes dealing with then?
Some physical issues. We had to monitor him throughout the season a couple of times, and that's the case now as well. So today he was off feet, and we'll see how he will manage himself the next couple of days.
Obviously, with that, then the progression going to the game, does that change any of the way you have to prepare? Or you have to come up with an alternative plan if he's not available?
No, not at all. We have some other good attackers who can take his place if he's not available.
Onto the Zoom, we'll go with Michael.
Pascal, it's Mike Andrew from Blue City Radio. Thanks for the time.
Hi, Michael.
The format for the round of three, no ties and no aggregate score. So curious how you approach, or have you thought about how you'd approach these games? Should you get a good lead early, or should you be trailing early? I know some coaches in other instances would say, okay, we're trailing by 3. Let's rest some guys and get ready for game 2.
Well, if you look at our season in general, I think you will see, or maybe you even know that already, that that's not my approach. We will prepare the team as good as we can going into the first game, going to Charlotte. Try to do our business, do our job, and make sure we have a good result going into the second half, which is going to be played in New York. And hopefully we will not have to use the third game. So that's the approach, like we always go into our games.
Scott?
Hey, Coach, how are you? Scott Church, Stream Punk Soccer.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, Coach. So talk a little bit about, obviously, with Charlotte right now, they've had a very, very good season when they scored 2 at home.
Mm-hmm.
In this case here, simple question, the importance of scoring first. Thanks.
Yeah, interesting. The first goal mentality is something that we also have in our system. That is something that we've introduced at the beginning of the season, how important it is to get that first goal, because it will determine a lot how the game flow, how the game dynamics will proceed from that moment on. If you go back to the game that we played in Charlotte, when they scored within, I think it was within 15 minutes or so, you could see a turning point in the game already, because they allowed us to have the ball a little more. And as I mentioned to your colleagues just now, at that point in the league, we were not able to create as much from that type of possession as we have done throughout the rest of the part of the season. So there's not a different approach, but the first goal mentality is something that is part of our strategy in general.
Final one, Chris.
Hey, Coach. Chris Campbell from the outfield.
Hi, Chris.
As you get into the playoffs and tournament soccer, set pieces tend to loom a little bit larger. Only one MLS team has won MLS Cup with a negative goal differential in the playoffs from set pieces. You're coming out of a game where you just allowed 2 goals off of set pieces. As you come into the playoffs here, has there been more of an emphasis on set pieces, both corners and free kicks, considering the impact in the playoffs as well as coming out of that recent result?
No, nothing regarding the recent result. If you look at the statistics throughout the season and set pieces in particular, you will see that we have grown in this area and that we got ourselves into a top position compared to the rest of the league, either conceding or the attacking set piece. The one that surprised me is what happened against Seattle, because that is something that is unlikely to happen for us. But it also makes you aware of the fact that you always must pay attention to this part of the game. And that is something that has happened throughout the season and has always been a part of the weekly program in the broader sense, making sure that we have attention for attacking and defending set pieces. So also in this case, there will be no different approach when it comes to set pieces.